Hey babes, my name's Chasity.
And my name's Hannah.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes.
Today we're going to be giving you guys our December reading wrap up.
We read books.
We do, sometimes. So the first book I read in December was Waitlist by Kandi Steiner, which was about a girl whose stepdad was like in politics, and she meets this guy. She's like a bigger girl. She's plus size.
Ooh, I love
those stories. And so she starts working out. People are teasing her for being fat, and she starts working out with this trainer. And the trainer's like from like the wrong side of the tracks sort of situation. And obviously a whole bunch of other shit ensues after that. I gave it, I think, 4.5 stars. I really love Kandi Steiner. She's kind of a newer author to me. And I really liked this one. This is probably my second favorite out of all her books.
Yeah, you have been reading a lot of her lately.
I have.
It's gonna make me check them out.
Love Letter to Whiskey is the first
I
one.
have that on my Kindle. That's the one you told me, yeah. So the first one I read was Swear on This Life by Renee Carlino, which was definitely recommended by this one here. Even though I did recommend Renee Carlino to you, I just hadn't read it this one. But, you know. This one was fantastic. Like 5 freaking giant stars.
Yep.
I loved the story. Devoured it. Could not put it down. I loved the writing because I'm not going to go into real big detail because she definitely talked about it. But the writing, like back and forth.
It's the coolest style.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love it.
I think I talked about it when I first reviewed it, but I sat down to like start it. I was like, okay, I've got like a half an hour before I need to go to bed. Let me start this book. And then I didn't sleep that night because I had to stay up and finish the entire thing. I loved it.
I couldn't put it down.
Yeah.
It was so good.
So you said 5 stars for that one?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
5 giant stars.
Right. So I'm just kind of going to combine the next 2 that I read because they're by the same author, and I've decided that this author is not for me, and I'll explain why. So the first one I'm going to talk about right now is Complicate Me by M. Robinson, which I finished and I gave 2 stars. Was not my favorite, but I was like, you know what? A lot of people really like her, so I'm going to try a different series by her. So I read Hated You Then, and y'all, I could not finish it. There's something so creepy. I don't like her writing style. She has like this weird style where she writes in like fragmented sentences where they're never like complete sentences. And also she writes some very inappropriate scenes from the point of view of children. Like I'm not talking like 16, 17. I'm talking like 12-year-old children. And I can't get behind that. And so I just decided that she's not for me. So I DNF'd that one. I was like, nope.
I follow her. I
follow her on Instagram. I like
read
her.
anything. It concerns me a little bit.
Yeah, that plus just like I said, I don't like her writing style, so I've just kind
that's fair enough.
Moved on.
The next one I read was When You're Back by Abbi Glines, part of the Rosemary Beach series.
Okay.
I'm trucking.
I'm done. I gave up several books ago.
Okay, so I gave this one 3 stars.
Who was this about?
This was Mace and Reese.
Oh,
and
I like Mace.
Here's the thing, okay? I really loved the last book. I didn't necessarily feel like they needed another one, though. Like, I just didn't. I don't think
any of these books after, like, Woods and Della need to exist.
They definitely don't need to. However, if they are going to exist, which, like, I enjoyed Mace and Reese's story. However,
but she wrote another one.
She wrote another one, and I really didn't feel the need because it was like I knew what was going to happen, except for there was an added like the person who was trying to come between them. There was like a guy who was trying to come between them, which I'm sure is setting up the next book. But there was also a girl who was trying to come between them. I can't remember her name, Aria or something like that. I don't know. It was his cousin.
But was there any of Nan in this book?
No.
Then maybe I would have enjoyed it.
Maybe that's why. Okay, no, I'm sorry. I just wasn't behind the whole, like, she had the hard eyes for her cousin.
Oh.
It just weirded me out.
Okay, next book I read was Regretting You by Colleen Hoover. Obviously 5 stars.
So let's just combine this because I believe my next one is Regretting You as well. So let's just combine.
Obviously 5 stars.
Yeah.
I've only ever read one book by Colleen Hoover that wasn't a 5-star. Everything else she's ever written has been. This is from Dual Point of Views. It's from a mother and a daughter who, what is she, 17, 16, 18, something like that? She's in high school.
She's a teenager.
Yeah, she's a teenager. And they're both kind of experiencing the same thing, but obviously
they
as
see it differently.
people. And they see it very differently because they both have different details of what happened. I don't really want to go into...
No, I don't want to... But the thing is that you're in a... And we kind of talk about this a little bit because we're in different points in our life.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was what made it such an interesting story. Because she's a teenager and she sees things a little bit more closed-minded because...
It's very black and white to her.
Yeah, because she hasn't been through a lot of things.
She hasn't experienced anything. She doesn't know everything that she thinks she knows.
She's only got a taste of life, what life can throw at you.
Now, granted, I really liked her. She wasn't like a bratty teenager.
Oh, no.
No, she was very smart.
I think that's what made it so interesting is because you really were rooting for each character, like every character.
Mm-hmm.
But...
And there are points where I was annoyed with both the mother and the daughter because I think there would have been so... And I think that's why she wrote this, is because there would have been so many situations that could have been solved had they just communicated a little bit better.
I think this definitely shows, like, communication needs to be key in family dynamics, for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, like we said, 5 stars. There's no way.
So another Colleen Hoover read. I finally read Finding Cinderella so that I could be caught up for the next book that I'm going to talk about. This one is about... What are their names again? I forget. If you've watched us before, you know I can't ever remember names. Danielle and 6.
I knew it was 6.
Danielle,
but
and
I'm
6.
like, I think that's wrong.
And 6 is, of course, the best friend from Hopeless, which I read forever ago. But this was their story. I think it was a novella, which I typically don't like, but I liked this one. I liked kind of seeing. It's really interesting. They met because they didn't know who each other was, if that makes sense. They met in a dark closet at school. It's kind of a longer story than that.
Like a little secret rendezvous.
Yes, it was, and it was so cute. And they didn't reunite until years later, and it took them forever to figure out that they were the person.
Oh God, this one, my heart.
I can't believe it took so long to read it because once I was in it, I was like, oh my God.
I couldn't put it down, and I sobbed. Mm-hmm. She makes me cry so much. I don't know why I like her.
I know. What's your next book?
My next one is Mirror Image by Danielle Steele. This, I gave it 3 stars. It was, I really like her writing, and I really like most of her stories. This one, I'm like, sorry, I'm blanking on like what it was about.
It was not your favorite. Well, that just means that it was very forgettable.
Well, it was. So the thing is that I don't read a whole lot of like historical fiction.
Okay.
However, I'm starting to get into it a little bit. So this I think kind of pulled me in, and I thought it was very interesting. I liked the story. I liked the characters, although it's the story of 2 twins. Basically, they've always like swapped places, like just messing with people. But this time, like it came with big consequences, like huge consequences.
Gotcha.
But it ended up all happy and fine, and like I liked it, but it wasn't.
You didn't love it, yeah.
No, and I can't say that I like super loved any of the characters because like I don't even remember their names right now. Mm-hmm. But it was a good read. Like I enjoyed it.
It was fine.
Yeah.
So the next book I read was Finding Perfect, which combines characters from Finding Cinderella and All Your Perfects, and that's literally all I can say about it without spoiling it. Without spoiling other books, I should say. And I gave it 5 stars, and that's like I said, that's literally all I can say. There's no way to explain the plot without spoiling
not telling
other books.
Thing.
So, we're gonna move on.
Not one thing.
Not one single thing.
Okay, so the next one I read, I was gonna say watched.
Yeah, sure.
I read Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis, which from my last month, you know that I love Rachel Hollis. So, 5 stars for this one. She like really got me with this one. Like, Girl Stop Apologizing, I was like, yes, this is what I need to do. This one, she made me cry a few times.
Are you usually a self-help book kind of person? I'm not. I will never read a self-help book.
I'm not. However, I have read a few. I'm trying to get myself in order because I'm kind of a mess. But
I feel that.
yeah, she made me cry a few times, but I would definitely recommend this book. 5 stars.
All right, next book, another Kandi Steiner book. It was Revelry, which is it was a super cute book. It was so not what I thought it was going to be. It's about a girl who owns a boutique in the city. I think she lives in, I think it's Seattle. I could be wrong though. And she went through a divorce, and it's just kind of like she's at this point in her life where she feels like so much of her life has been wasted. She is either in her 30s or she's about to be in her 30s, and she doesn't really know where she stands on any of the goals that she had, whatever. She's a designer. She's a fashion designer for this boutique, and she has what, you know, I'm a reader and writer, so I call it writer's block, but I guess she has like the sketching equivalent of writer's block, and she can't find any inspiration. So she escapes to this like small little town to stay in this cabin for the summer to see if, you know, that helps her kind of regroup and find some inspiration for some clothes. And she of course meets a boy.
There's always a boy.
Oh, there's always a boy. But yeah, I gave this one 4 stars. This wasn't my favorite by her, but I definitely really, really, really liked it. I loved, said this before, I'll say it in every single video, I'm a sucker for a good backstory. And the love interest, whose name I forget, his nickname is Revelry though, or Rev, has a killer backstory. Has a killer backstory that's like really weepy and sad, and I think that's what really made this book.
Dang.
Yeah.
The last one that I read in December was The Falling of Stars by Traci Finlay.
Yay. I've been telling you to read that one too.
Yes, I had started it, and there were some personal like connections that kind of hit me hard in the chest right in the opening scene. So I had to take some time and like prepare myself.
I was like that with Mudvayne.
So I prepared myself, and I did get through it, and oh my god, is it an amazing book.
So good.
Like, she's phenomenal.
How is it that she's so, like, she's such a small indie author, but she can write better than like
book, y'all.
Really anybody that I've ever seen.
For real.
Yeah.
Like, she's phenomenal. That her first book blew me away, and this one was just.
We had a whole book talking about The Rules of Birkin.
Yes.
Which she only has 2 books out right now, The Rules of Birkin and The Falling of Stars. You all need to go and read both of them.
Yes.
Both incredible.
Like now.
Yes.
The links will be below.
Literally stop. Close out of this video.
Scroll down.
Yeah.
And click it.
Yes. All right. Last book that I read was The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Now, I had never read anything by Ruth Ware before. I've always wanted to, and I decided like on a whim. I think I saw somebody else review it, and I decided to just pick it up. And I freaking really liked it. There were, I feel like I can almost never give a psychological thriller 5 stars, with a few exceptions, obviously. But, so I gave it 4 stars because there were bits and pieces that I picked up on way too early, or that I feel like there were tropes that are overused in psychological thrillers that were used in this one. However, I really liked the premise of it. You know, a nanny who goes to work for some screwed up kids, frankly, in a house that's like a smart house where she kind of feels like everything's against her, and it's just like one thing after the other. It was all super interesting. I ended up really liking it, and I really liked the ending. I know a lot of people complained about the ending, but I really liked it.
I think with psychological thrillers, it's so rare to find one that like one. Yeah, that you don't figure,
especially when you read so much like I do. Like, I was like, okay, I can see that one coming. It's almost not even fair.
Yeah, there's definitely foreshadowing no matter what. Like,
yeah. And you learn to pick up on it the more of them you read.
Yeah, there's only a few that, like, I could say, like, wow, you know.
One of them being The Wives, which we're going to film a video about.
Also, You by Caroline Cutney.
Yes.
You know, we're just going to keep promoting these books until you read
and
them.
Verity by Colleen Hoover.
One of the best I've ever read.
Yes. That's it. So those are all the books that we read in the month of December. We hope you guys enjoyed this video. Everything will be linked down below. Our Goodreads, all the books that we talked about. Let us know down below if you've read any of these books or if you want to and what you thought about them. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.